Authorities to meet with nurses tomorrow. Political parties fail to carry out responsibilities. And Daulo DDA rehabilitates coffee plantations.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Sunday's news. The PNG Nurses Association say authorities have agreed to meet with them at 10 a.m. tomorrow following the group's announcement to withdraw services completely by Tuesday. The sit-in protest continues in the meantime.
You have taken an issue that
7 days of the nurses' nationwide sit-in protest remains as the second week of industrial action continues on Monday. The association confirms that there will be a meeting with authorities at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
We have had sitting protest for the 5 days. Unfortunately, we didn't have someone to come and address us from DPM, Treasury, Finance, and Health Department. And this is a very sad moment for the nurses throughout Papua New Guinea. Throughout Papua New Guinea, there's a sitting protest that is currently going on. We had a major part in the health sector, health service delivery, and we deserve a better answer from people in position of authority. Basically, what will happen now is because we have had telephone calls and WhatsApp message from DPM and Health Department, Health Secretary, that we will meet on Monday.
This meeting will confirm either to settle or lead to a nationwide withdrawal of services from the health, even the COVID-19 response, when nurses are serving on the front line.
And our stand is very, very clear. Not our stand, the National Executive stand, but the stand of all the members throughout the country is very, very solid at this moment. And it is for us to prolong our sitting protest. And if they want to meet us on Monday at 1:30, they must come up with a clear-cut instructions letter to make sure that award is configured, money is allocated. Our estimate for this award to be fully implemented is 30 million. They must look for 30 million to come and tell us on Monday that yes, we already cut the budget in this day, and there must be a specific instruction to all the implementers throughout the country to go ahead and implement.
The peaceful strike actions last week came as a result of non-compliance from the national government over an agreement that would see nurses receive industrial awards, which include medical and insurance cover. At present, with harshness and onset of COVID-19, the 4,000 nurses are out on the front line without any of these benefits or covers.
We are also mindful about our actions, and we have informed the DPM in advance. We have also notified the industrial registrar of our actions. So far, none of them take actions in responding to our correspondences to them. If only they take appropriate actions in responding to all our correspondence, this issue cannot come about. And my appeal to the bureaucrats, departmental heads, please be proactive. You are running the show for the whole country, not just for that office that you are holding on. And anything that comes your way, make sure prioritize and respond in a timely manner and address these issues.
The nationwide industrial action is the single biggest by members of the health fraternity during the pandemic. The Nurses Association is also one of the most proactive health interest bodies which had been speaking on behalf of its members. Jamie Harrow, National EMTV News.
Political parties that are registered are mandated to have interaction with the public to inform them of their policies. It's becoming a norm these days for political parties to wait until eve of elections to carry out their mandated responsibilities. Pangu Party General Secretary Maurice Tovebai says political parties have failed to do this for various reasons, including funding.
Political parties have 5 years from the conclusion of every national election to go and make their presence known, collect memberships, look for funding, and conduct conversations with the wider public. But for most political parties, this hasn't been happening within the first 4 years, but most often towards the year into elections or 6 months before elections. At the Political Party Policy Seminar Series, hosted by the PNG National Research Institute, EMTV asked the major political parties why.
One problem with us Papua New Guineans that I've established during my journey with the Pangu Party, you face resistance. Not enough political party awareness is done because of the challenges they face and the funding constraints. People tend to say that this group of people are doing early campaign. So where do we go from there as a political party?
And this is the appropriate time. This is the time because even if you go out and promote your policies, how much do you expect the people to remember come voting time? So this is the right time. And this has been encouraged by the register of political parties for the parties to go out there and promote their policies and their parties. So I think that is, I think we should understand it like that.
It is important for political parties to educate the voting public about their policies so they can make informed decisions on which political party they wish to vote for. Ultimately, a party or a coalition of parties form government and implement their policies when in office. So how can political parties be penalized for not doing their mandated duties? The Registrar of Political Parties is responsible for pulling parties in line, but at present it is handicapped and can't do much. This is because of the law governing the function under the revised Organic Law on the Integrity of Political Parties and Candidates, OLIPAC, hasn't been deliberated on the floor of Parliament. It's taken almost 14 years.
Amended OLIPAC has been distributed to members of Parliament for their study and perusal, so that when the vote is taken, hopefully in the November session, that the members of Parliament will vote informed and not just, voting blindly.
With regard to the OLIPAC, revised OLIPAC law, some or most of us have contributed towards this with Dr. Gelu and other stakeholders. And all we wanted to see was to go to Parliament. Unfortunately, it took almost 14 years, but I've done my bit as the ruling party. I continue to push the agenda through the party caucus, and eventually now it's listed. I'm hoping that it will go through the November sitting, and that's bonus for Pangu if it gets through.
An estimated 50 political parties are expected to enter into the national elections next year. So far, only 46 political parties are registered, with the national election 6 months away. Only time will tell if political parties have done enough to market their policies to the voting public. In PNG, it is evident the majority of voters still vote for preferred candidates rather than voting among party lines. Fidelis Sukina National, EMTV News.
The Daulo District Development Authority is committed to support coffee farmers in the district through a coffee rehabilitation program funded by the DDA. Various coffee plantations have been rehabilitated, with farmers urged to focus on coffee. Local MP Pogi Ugate says his DDA will continue to support coffee production in the district.
The Daulo District Development Authority, through its coffee rehabilitation program, has rehabilitated various coffee plantations in the district. This program is to support coffee farmers and help develop the coffee industry in Daulo District. Over 600,000 kina has been used to roll out this program.
600,000 may use him now. Na talo resla may workload time la system for block holders as plantation farmers in the time la system all past them. Because all got big blocks so I system this online, and then later I'm the tribal system of block holders and farmers.
According to the Rehabilitation Program Director, most coffee plantations in the district have run down and most coffee farmers have gone into other businesses. This is due to the lack of government support over the years. The director says the coffee plantations in Daulo have the potential to generate over 12 million kina in revenue. However, this has been lost over the years.
Suppose plus today, Inap yung maximum 12,800,000 about. And 12 million and big ministry. But people, you may not got money or something to work na you may lose interest na coffee go bagarab na.
With support from the Daulo DDA, coffee plantation owners, including smallholder farmers, have been urged to go back into farming. The local MP says markets will be made available for the farmers. And with the government's price support program for coffee, the farmers are thankful for the government's support.
We think you'll be all right because the coffee plantation taso. One and a half people just selling coffee baby. So people don't can worry all them. We have coffee na like selling coffee way. Market no problem you. Market and problem you. By market so just for coffee taso.
Kai kablo one investment blame I am now coffee green. Na am ready lo big harvest next year. Na am now am contribute big block on lo economy block country too. So me got big how much.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The Gimbagaip Rural Community School of Kukuzaba in Western Province will now have access to 2 new double classrooms. The opening ceremony, which was held on Friday, was witnessed by Western Provincial Administrator Robert Alphonse Kayun and Northfly MP James Donald.
The Gimbagaip Rural Community School has been using bush materials to cater for the elementary education to grade 6 for over 5 years. As a new era begins, the community school has been privileged to have 2 new double classrooms built for them and was officially opened on Friday. Run by the Catholic Education Agency, these classrooms will cater for grades 7 and 8 commencing next year. A PSIP funding of 500,000 kina from the provincial government and 100,000 kina funding from the Northfly DDA were used for these facilities, aiming at strengthening basic education services in rural villages. Speaking at the opening ceremony, Northfly MP James Donald said Northfly DDA, together with the provincial government, is committed to supporting education services to educate children for better community. Representing the school was head teacher Pepin Modestus, who acknowledged the Northfly MP and the provincial government.
I am very, very happy, and I can say that I am one of the local here. I have been coming to school during my olden days with the same classroom, and then it is a little bit sad, and also on the other side it's a happy moment that I can see the change from those old buildings to the new building. I used that classroom and I came and I removed it. That means enough is enough. Now we don't want our new generation to use the same facilities that our parents and we have been using. So with such facilities, I'm very happy, and it's also emotional also to see from this time of change.
These classrooms contain a full set of desks, blackboards, solar sets, water tank, and have 2 office spaces within the buildings. As part of the opening ceremony, the provincial administrator also presented new laptop sets to the community school for their use during the academic year. Jamie Harrow, National MTV News.
National MTV News continues with a closer look after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. Protests against COVID-19 vaccination have been on the forefront of debates among Papua New Guineans in recent months, putting pressure on the government and relevant authorities. However, apart from protests resulting from the no jab, no job policy, other agendas have also been protested upon, particularly in the health and education sectors of the country. Here's Dennis Orrer with this week's A Closer Look.
Even before COVID-19 vaccines arrived in Papua New Guinea, there were already debates on their safety and how they were going to be rolled out or administered on Papua New Guineans. And since the arrival of the first vaccines, Not just debates on social media platforms and through professional discussions have taken place, but widespread public protests have occurred, mainly in Port Moresby, but also in other major centres of the country. With NCD Governor Powes Pakop taking an aggressive approach on encouraging people in the nation's capital to be vaccinated, some of his own staff have been against the move and initially had their pay docked, and then eventually some got terminated.
Since the issue started, we've maintained that vaccination shall be voluntary. People give them time and let them come to terms with their own health and choose to get vaccinated or not.
This resulted in NCDC staff fronting up at the City Hall, demanding an explanation and slamming the no jab, no job policy.
So some of us stood with the staff who didn't want to get vaccinated, and we got terminated. Our termination stems as a result of us standing up against the vaccination. It has nothing to do with disciplinary offences at the workplace. We also have, at the NCDC, we also have a disciplinary code that outlines the offences that warrants termination. But as it appears from the termination letters that were issued, people's own freedom of expression in the social media have prompted them to give them summary termination.
Employees affected by the situation also say they have faced unfair treatment from fellow colleagues.
As a result of their draconian measures, it has created somewhat stigmatization in the office. Discrimination and stigmatization. So people who have got vaccinated are now refusing to talk to staff who are getting tests and going to work.
The general public in Port Moresby also staged a protest against the no jab, no job policy, aiming to raise their concerns to the government as they claimed it was affecting many of them.
Dami talking people limi lo apto sem policy no bureau ablo imi policy mo kada we all one people lo is the country pim plana senim tok lo blata so limi mas wokim good lo we ba no ka trouble come up because organizers ba organize him lo good la ting ta so ka dol man meri to stop all ba go na take advantage na go burkimo store burkimo car mi na ba do na repla na bagar mi sa pepes lo senim mas wokim good.
However, protests have had issues with approval processes with the police and relevant authorities, with concerns of public safety paramount. This has been a major challenge for various protesting groups around the country.
You know mas animal rules sa. You mean the suit na sabi ngo sem am right that's all. Am a face mask wear him. Sick by spread na mali umiat. And because something. I was now media ask him rule blow, plantiman lo bung, but people, you must take responsibility. You must harm talk.
The Christian churches fraternity in the country has been split on the matter, with most mainline churches or those under the PNG Council of Churches umbrella encouraging people to get the jab, whilst those under the Body of Christ movements such as Pentecostal churches have very much been against the vaccination agenda, criticizing companies enforcing the no jab, no job policy.
Experiencing in a church, those that you have penalized already are now going through so much problem. We are mibla looking, mibla stop on them all, mibla pray on them all, mibla oleman on them all, mibla come talk.
No can rouse on this consigns here where God is giving me walking decision here. That should not be disturbed. The moment you make him all same, and people bring him government come control more people now and bring him go back along this more come up this democratic freedom country where people live long end.
Nobody should lose their job over this vaccine because it's not their doing. They're innocent people trying to make their lives, make their living, and no employer should really penalize people for a virus that was not created by Papua New Guineans, so local people here.
Prime Minister and the government, this is a sovereign nation, and I appeal to you, can we get our professional medical, can we get our scientists? We have professors in the commercial department at the universities. Can we get a like-minded for them to charter a way forward for us?
Apart from Prime Minister James Marape, Pandemic Response Controller David Manning and other authorities strongly encouraging the vaccination agenda, various MPs have also had their views on the matter with intense debate on the floor of Parliament in the October sitting. Yangaru Sausia MP Richard Maru had his say on it.
There will be no forced COVID-19 vaccination in Yangaru Social District. No employer will bring this no job, no employment policy into Yangaru Social District. You will not be allowed. People must be respected. Their right to employment must be respected. Their constitutional rights must be respected.
Among some of the latest movements intending to protest against COVID-19 vaccination and employers strongly encouraging their staff to be vaccinated in light of ensuring workplace safety, People Power Movement activist Noel Anjo is planning a protest for November 16 when Parliament resumes in the coming week, despite authorities not giving him favorable responses in terms of staging the protest.
On behalf of the people of Papua New Guinea, the working force, we are trying to petition the government by way of providing alternatives or solutions to fight against coronavirus or Delta variant in PNG. As we all know, the pandemic issue is not Papua New Guinea issue alone. It's a global issue. The world is divided. Scientists are divided. Doctors throughout the world, they are divided. Here in Papua New Guinea, our doctors are divided. Intellectuals are divided. Academics are divided. Some are against, some are for. So the best solution is to, by way of providing a petition to the government, appropriate authorities, we will petition the government through the Prime Minister is invited to receive our petition. The Minister of Health, the Pandemic Controller, and the Governor of NCD. They are invited to receive our petition on the 16th of November, which is on when Parliament sits.
Aside from protests relating to COVID-19 vaccination, there have been union bodies, particularly from the education and health sectors in recent months, raising concerns to the government on certain outstanding agreements which they claim the government has failed to address. The PNG Teachers Association, the Public Employees Association, and the PNG Nurses Association are among the organizations that have issued demands or have taken industrial action. Even major protests on gender-based violence issues have been held in the midst of the pandemic since last year. The PNG Nurses Association have staged a sit-in protest during the past week or more over outstanding medical and life insurance cover matters. The nurses have threatened to walk off their jobs if the government fails to address their issues by next Tuesday. There is dialogue between the parties involved.
Politicians have flown off to overseas using 5 million. Where are they getting all this money from? Our MOA is long overdue MOA, and it has been collecting dust on the shelves of the DPM or wherever it is. And it is the sole responsibility of the departmental heads to ensure they advocate with the Treasury and Finance to make the funding available. So for us, money shouldn't be a problem.
You know, throughout Papua New Guinea, there's a sitting protest that is currently going on. We had a major part in the health sector, health service delivery, and we deserve a better answer from people in position of authority. Basically, what will happen now is because we have had telephone calls and WhatsApp message from DPM and Health Department, Health Secretary, that we will meet on Monday, 1:30. The sitting protest will continue through the weekend all the way to Monday, 1:30. And if Monday we don't get an answer, we will issue a circular from the association office.
We are actually the heartbeat of the health system, and we have been working so hard through the pandemic since last year to this year, and we just want the government, the line agencies from the government, especially the Finance, Treasury, DPM, to come forward and support us and implement the award in full for the nurses so that we can go back to work.
Now we are into the 11th month of the year. This is November, and before we know, 2021 is going to be finished. So I think it's really, I call on the relevant departments to do everything possible to have this issue resolved, either by close of business or over the weekend, so that the nurses can go back to work early next week.
Employees affected in Leh also staged protests recently to have authorities listen to their requests and questions raised. Leh police allowed the protests to eventuate, but under controlled strategies.
Why not time Prime Minister am time vaccine am optional? Why not company all enforcing this compulsory? No vaccine, no job policy.
Lack of information now, and we make him all man long. Come on, only seek him answers long. Some of questions where all it non answer him. Now me to me non answer him, and go back long all NARPLA department which me no qualified to talk, all let boli talk.
You're watching National EMTV News. Chukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Organisers of Southern Super League have urged all teams and players to comply with the measures set out by the Office of the Controller, ensuring that the competition is able to complete all its scheduled matches.
Following the temporary suspension of matches due to the recent surge in COVID cases in Port Moresby, the organisers of the Southern Super League have made the necessary changes to the competition schedule.
We'll take a break on the 17th, 18th weekend, that's a week before Christmas, and we'll resume just after New Year. So we'll most likely finish our round games before the Christmas break, come back after the break and continue with 3 weeks of the finals, and that's about it.
The no jab, no game stance taken by organisers was a vital measure in compliance with the recommendations set out by the Office of the Controller when given the green light for matches to recommence. This, however, has led to a number of teams making changes to their squads, with unvaccinated players being cut from the lineup.
For the vaccination, there's a lot of changes to the playing rosters for most teams because some clubs had to release players who did not vaccinate and recruit players who vaccinated. That's on the downside of it, but on the flip side, the good side, they're really happy that it's up and running again, and everyone wants to play rugby league and get back on the field, so it's good here.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. There were the details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Some showers in Port Moresby, fine and sunny in Daru, cloudy with a few showers in Kerema, mostly fine weather in Alatau, and fine although cloudy in Popondetta. In the Mamasi region, fine although partly cloudy in Leh, Medang, Wewak, and partly cloudy weather in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy in Lorengau and Kimbe, mostly fine weather in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, and cloudy with possible showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with a few showers in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mindi and Wabag.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Sunday, 14th of November 2021. Until next time, pleasant viewing, be safe and good night.